G'day everybody, my name is Matt. I'm from DIYdata.wordpress.com. I'm here today to do a little bit of a test record stream and also show you something that I've made recently. On the internet I've seen these pretty cool precision screwdrivers with like swivel ends, and I had decided to make my own. So what I've come up with is this. Sorry for the light, it's not exactly an ideal setup. I'm just going to throw in some things together quickly just to test them, see if they work. But what we've got here is my little screwdriver. So it's one piece of aluminium for the main shaft. There's a little swivel head on the end of it with a small bearing in the end that makes it spin quite smoothly, and it allows you to do with the screwdriver. I'm going to see if this other camera is any help. So this is a kind of top-down webcam. My lighting isn't the greatest, unfortunately, but give you a different look at this. So it runs, I just want to check something real quick. So that's 4mm. So in the end of it, it runs. Nice time to give me notifications, Viber. These 4mm hex bits, and I have a whole bunch of them that I got. Oh, that camera with the lighting there is not good at all, is it? I have a whole bunch of these. You can get a lot of these 4mm things. This isn't the greatest kit. It will cost me like $2 or something. And the easiest way I found to make the hex receptor was actually to use the cheap little screwdriver kit. I broke the handle off it because it was just tiny and rubbish. But I bored out a hole in there, big enough for it to just not fit. So basically what we did was cut the so what I did was bored the hole out in the piece, and then inserted it, heated up the piece of aluminium and cooled down the little hex bit, and then just pushed it in. I think with that method there's no glue or pins or anything to hold it in, but I think with that method and the kind of uses for this kind of tool, that's not going to cause too many issues. But so that's the tool. I wish I could do something better with this light, because that would make it a lot better. But I don't have. I've lost the. Maybe I set it up here like that. Might get it slightly better. That makes this shot a little bit better, I think. But the other shot's not so good. Anyway, back to this. I hope I wasn't doing all that bit off camera before, because I realised I was on the wrong camera. So little screwdriver, and it allows you to, I don't have anything in particular to screw, but allows you to kind of hold that in your hand and kind of spin like that. Maybe if I made a future one, I might even make this one a little bit shorter, but this one works okay. I guess what I was going to do was give you a quick rundown on some of the dimensions in it, just to, in case you are trying to work out how to make one yourself. I should have got the piece of paper that I used to work this out originally, but I did not. But let's go down to the paper down here. What I might even do is turn that sideways. That gives a bit more room. You're going to be upside down, aren't you? That wasn't well thought out either, but what I'll do is I'll draw things and then turn it up the right way. So get rid of that bit. The overall length is 108, but I think it's the actual length of the actual piece is about 100. I don't have a ruler nearby. I kind of do, but get myself a ruler. Get myself a ruler, ruler. I could even draw it roughly to scale, I suppose. It's about the right size. So I think the piece is roughly about 100. Of course the pen doesn't work the first time. And then I made this bit. It's 15.5. So call it 15. I don't think none of these dimensions are particularly accurate. So if we go 15, let's do a little bit of a flat bit there. And then what do we do here? We went with, it's about 55 from the thicker part. So 55, so let's go down there to 55. And then we get a little bit of a taper that's about 2 millimeters on each end, so I'm not even going to bother measuring them. So that is, we call that 15, we call that 55. Then we call this bit 15, 16, 17. So 17, 15, so I should say 27. So we'll go here 25, 6, 7, and from the same bit 25, 6, 7. And this bit I've turned down to 12 millimeters. So it's not actually that much less. And mailman's gone. Sorry, the mailman just showed up. So what I say that was 12 mil, pretty much 12.1. So I would make it 1.5 on each side, I guess, doesn't it? So this, just for the sake of drawing it, I'm going to draw it to 2 mil. Just because drawing this is not the greatest idea. There's a little bit of a boop. Right. This isn't completely accurate scale for the record. It is more of just a test for me as well. I should mention that this live stream I'm doing, which I think is currently working still, so stream is excellent. I just realized that the shot that I'm taking here is, I have to get that back over there, has this label on it, which I didn't mean to do, so let's delete that bit. And then when I go back to here, when I go back, they won't have that bit. So where were we? I should write that measurement on there. That was, we decided that was 27. So let's see if this all adds up. So 27, that's about a 2, call that a 2 as well. Which leaves everything else. And we draw those bits on there, we'll call those a 2. And then so 55, 60, 75, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. So from to there that would be 86, 100. What does that leave? That leaves 14. So that would leave about 14 mil. Yeah, that would be about right. About 14 or 15 from there to there. I hope, I'm gonna guess not too many people are gonna actually watch this, but I thought I would try anyway, and put this out here and see if anybody's interested, and then I can also give myself a reason to stream some things, and who knows, if this is interesting, maybe I'll keep doing it. But let's go back to the drawing. So that's 15. What you can't see in here is it actually steps down, and I can't remember the measurements of the bearing in here, but roughly it's probably, I think, all this is metric obviously, but the bearing was actually an imperial bearing, so I think it was 1/4 of an inch shaft, probably 1/4 inch thick, and maybe a 1/2 inch the outside diameter of it. But so that's what we'll, so basically it goes down. Let's draw this, draw this, draw this. So this part is so that's 15, that's 12, that's back to 15 again. But so basically down here it goes, it goes like something along the lines of have a imperial ruler. So what's a 1/4 inch? About a 1/4 inch? That's about a 1/4 inch. So if we go bam, bam, and not very measured, but let's go, that's about a 1/4, so let's go bam, bam, and there would be your spike for your bearing. One 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. Okay, so that's basically, I should ignore, I can't work out the measurements. You'd have to, if you're making one of these, you'd have to make it yourself. There's about, yeah, there's about, the hole in here was about 7 millimeters. And I think it was like, I don't know, 15, 20 millimeters deep. And as I said, then you heat this part up and shove the other bit in. If the pieces are close enough, then they when this cools back down again and that heats up, they bind together and make a very tight seal. But so that's the dimensions of the shaft, and then there's also this little guy which we will try to draw. We'll measure it back to the metric. So I've ended up making this 16mm. So it is 15, 16, and then it is 24 wide. 24 wide. Sorry, we'll go back to this camera. 24 wide. 21, 2, 3, 4. What do I call that? 15, 16, whatever that was. And okay, I'm going to draw it as a square and then. So that's that bit. We got that there. We did a little bit of a bevel on each side of it. And then basically, what do I call it? 24. So let's go center line at 12. Center line at 12. Rough center line. And I think I can't remember exactly, but I think the outside of the bearing was probably about a 1/2 inch or something, but we will draw it as a 1/2 inch just because. I want to go look at, make sure my stream's still going. Stream is healthy, cool. So sorry, let me get back to what we're doing. So 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And then again I can't remember how deep that would be. Probably only 10, probably only about 12 mil, I think I might have made that. So again, not very accurate drawing here, but so that bit is cut out, and then there's the bearing that goes on here like that, and then the bearing sits in here, so then the bearing would sit there, and then this part sits over here like that. And when it comes to doing the bearing, you could do what I did here and heat things up, but the way it turned out is this part I was a bit too wide on the turning, so it was a sloppy fit, and I kind of did the same thing on this end as well. So, and you can't really heat the bearing up too much anyway. So what I ended up doing to attach the bearing to the main screwdriver part, I used a punch. So if we look down from the top, basically that's what we have. So the bearing kind of sits down on the shaft, and what I actually did was take a punch and punched a bunch of little dots around there, and that expanded the aluminium shaft enough to grab onto the outer bearing, and then that routed the bearing to the main part. And all I did for the actual spinning cap was use a little tiny bit of Loctite. So I just got to squeeze some Loctite out onto a piece of wood or something, and used a splinter of wood to just do a light coating of Loctite in this part, and then we inserted the two and just let them sit for a while until the Loctite dried. Sorry, I didn't say, so that was 24. Should go put some measurements on here. 24, and we'll call that 16. Can't remember what I said, if I said 16 or what originally. So obviously these parts on the bearing depends on the bearing you're using. If you're using a metric bearing, you'd have used the measurements for the bearing to suit. But basically that's what you have. I've actually been going for 20 minutes. I'm assuming, sorry, I'm just going to have a quick look. 3 playbacks concurrent. Basically that's just me, I think. But yeah. Sorry, I'm just checking the stream because this is a bit of a test, as I keep saying. So that was basically what I've done to make this little guy, and something I didn't mention, but was these grooves. They're just about roughly a centimetre along each, separated. Just kind of measured it out with a ruler and drill Sharpie, so they're not accurate or anything, but for this one, and that was good enough. So I'm going to go back down to here so you can have a look at this. I'm going to turn it up the right way. What I might even do is try to get a bit of a zoom in on this camera. Is that going to give me enough room to get the whole bit on there? It is, but the webcam's not going to focus on it. What I might do, what I could do actually, let's try something. Didn't really plan for it, but I will try to do something. That's why I do this. Have a look at me. You can't. I wish that focused a bit better, but it doesn't. Can I'll rotate this. Okie dokie. So I think I need to go up on this other screen to do this because I think my thing's set up. So let's just I do need to rotate it a couple more times. So sorry to make you stare at this for a minute or so while I do stuff I don't really know what I'm doing. Let's go back down to here, and then if I find the page, there we go. There we have my drawing. Zoom it in a bit more. So that's just a picture I took on my phone just now, and then I copied it over. But as you can see, I'm trying to think what else to put. I'm tempted to make some more. If I did make another one, probably what I'd do is make the make it a little bit shorter, because when you're kind of using it like this, you can see it kind of still got quite a long. So I can maybe take one or two of the rings off it, make it kind of a bit shorter. But otherwise, it turned out really nicely. I also need, the other thing that you're probably not going to be able to see is there's a few blemishes from me gripping it in the lathe chuck a bit roughly. I tried to grab it as with like shims and stuff as nicely as I could, but I guess I cranked down on it a bit too hard or something, and it has deformed things. But that has probably given you enough time to get an idea of that. So I think what I'm going to do is call it quits for now, and if you like this, you're welcome to give it a thumbs up, but I'm guessing not a whole lot of people are actually going to watch it. But I mean, if you do, thanks for watching, and hang around, you might find something interesting in the future. But I'm going to call it quits for now. Have a good one.